Hello, everyone. If you are looking to accelerate your revenue cycle, simplify and automate complex contract management processes, you are in the right place. My name is Arun, and you are with the AI with Arun show. My guest today is a true tech visionary, Koti Reddy, the Chief Technology Officer at Conga. Koti is at the helm of a global engineering team crafting cutting edge solutions that automate the code to cash process. From product architecture to data driven decision making, Koti's expertise is helping businesses streamline their commercial workflows like never before. And with his previous experience at Calidus Cloud, which was acquired by SAP, Koti brings a wealth of knowledge to the table. While we'll learn about all the good stuff about Conga in this show, the company can help you translate to faster deals, happier customers, and a sales process that is firing on all cylinders. And they have done phenomenally well, Conga as a company. They have over 10,000 global customers, 6.4 million unique users, 7 million annual contract, and a 94% CSAT. That tells you something about the kind of work that has gone in. So let's dive in and hear from Koti, the man himself, about his journey. Koti, a very warm welcome to our show.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Thanks for the invitation and looking forward to having a wonderful conversation with you.
That's great. So let's jump in, Koti. So, Koti, as a CTO of Conga, what are some of the most significant challenges that you are facing for your clients in the code to cash transformation?
Yeah, I think we rebranded ourselves to be the revenue company. When previously we were known for the code to cash, and we almost defined the domain once as a code to cash. Now, what we have been, and we have been the visionaries in this domain and have led from the front. We have 3 years ago, we have defined the domain category created called revenue lifecycle management, which from our Conga's perspective, the way that we see it is CRMs are built for opportunities and look at all the data coming in, and ERPs always deal with the bottom line, and Conga sits right in between for the top line. Revenue lifecycle management deals with every single to do with revenue, and we have been doing an excellent job of not only creating the category but also innovating solutions on it. For the last 3 years, Arvind, to answer your specific question, we have been busy building Conga Advantage platform. This is a groundbreaking and a brand new cloud agnostic, CRM agnostic, API first platform. That's an open platform for you to use revenue lifecycle management solutions with any CRM on any cloud and with API first. So you can consume the solution any which way you choose. And that's what we have been building, and we just launched it. I think the timing worked perfectly. We just launched Conga Advantage platform yesterday.
Oh, fantastic. Many congratulations.
Thank you.
Koti, so for our viewers who may not be familiar with the term revenue lifecycle management, how would you define revenue lifecycle management?
Yeah. So I think a revenue lifecycle management, as the term may be new, but these revenue operations are among us the most important business processes that every single company of a sizable company has been doing. Every one of us, once a sales opportunity comes in and you enter into the CRM, what is the first thing that you look to do? You look to create a proposal for a customer to say, hey, here are the products and services that we offer. Based on our discovery, here are the things that you would like to see. And we will demo it, and then we'll actually show them. If it is software, we demo it. If it is a product, you actually send them a proposal. The proposal creation is the step one of revenue process. Once you create the proposal, you go through the back and forth about finalizing the proposal. Once that is done, you configure the products you have. If you go through the process of approvals internally, if you need to, and create a quote becomes an agreement. Till the quote, it is called CPQ. Once quote becomes an agreement, agreement goes through its own life cycle of like redlining and negotiation of the terms and conditions, and then that agreement become an order. An order will become a breakdown into pieces into an assets, and like then you go through the renewal process. If you think about it, CPQ that hands it over to CLM goes to billing, goes to renewal. This is what we call revenue lifecycle management. Every sizable customer has been going through this lifecycle. And we, with our unified data model and with our experience in this domain for the last 12 years, we have actually created products in what I look at as all 4 quadrants to help our customers. But you don't have to buy all products from us. You can buy one and you can integrate with others if you have it, or you can buy all of it. We think we are the best for all of the products, but that's how we have defined revenue lifecycle and have seen wonderful traction with our customers.
That's a wonderful explanation, Koti. The way you explained it right from the beginning proposal all the way till the renewal cycle, right?
Yeah.
But Koti, a lot of companies have so much of manual process involved, right? And I'm sure you're seeing a lot of demand simply for automation, reimagining the business process. How have you seen the demand for automation and reimagining of this whole transformation process evolve over the last several years?
Yeah. So I think like it's very apt, like what businesses have going through right now. When you look at the processes today, they're very typically disconnected, manual, and like a very siloed. What we have defined this as the revenue friction zone. When the revenue going through this revenue life cycle, if you have a siloed manual processes, you run into a salesperson to generate a quote. If you're going through the manual process or not properly automated process, you're going to spend days to generate a quote to give it to customer. A salesperson generating a quote is wasting time not talking to customers, right? And if you are actually don't have, again, CPQ, you have like a revenue leakage. They can give discounts. Koti knows Arun, so he'll say, like, hey, please approve my 30% discount versus 20% discount, not a systematic way. You have a revenue leakage right there. Legal terms and conditions, they need to be consistent. They need to be like a risk averse, and the obligations need to be committed based on what we know. There is a problem there, and like a legal contracts that gets delayed can take the business away. If you close the deal and you cannot bill, and you're actually not getting the money in. And finally, if you're not able to renew, and if you don't know when you can renew, you can upsell, cross-sell. You also, if your churn is coming and you don't know this, it's going to decrease the customer lifetime value. All of these put together, we actually think you are going into running into revenue friction zone. To break free of this revenue friction zone and get into becoming a revenue champion and get a revenue advantage, that's why we actually think like you should use Conga Advantage platform to get the revenue advantage. People who actually successfully implemented the revenue lifecycle across the board, and by the way, like it doesn't have to be all of our products. If you have successfully integrated solution you implemented, you eliminate the silos within the organization. You can accelerate the velocity through automation. By having the unified data, you can actually do the purposeful AI that Conga offers today on top of the data. You actually elevate your sales and organizational performance. You actually operate with the full integrity and auditability that like your organization know that like everything is done very well. This, whoever gets to get the revenue advantage, we call them revenue champions. And most of the revenue champions are the people who actually use Conga Advantage platform.
Great. So clearly there's a lot of benefits to the way you described it, Koti. The platform is modular. So it's not that I'm going to be tied up to Conga and use Conga for everything out there.
Yeah.
It's very modular, so I can implement and use solution that I want. And then the benefits that you described, I think it's phenomenal. You are creating from a system where there could potentially be revenue leakage. They are trying to create and creating revenue champions who are making sure that there is no leakage. Plus, they do more.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So, Koti, what role do you see AI play, and how are you using AI in your current platform today in the revenue advantage
Yeah.
you have?
AI, we have been in AI before we have the like a whole LLM and Gen AI revolution. I'm not calling anything less than a revolution in the technology world. We have through acquisition and also through innovation, we have been dealing with like a contracts AI for the last 6 years in Conga. One of the things that before the LLMs came, we were actually doing our ML models and our own SLMs, like a small language models, because we were dealing with, we have hundreds of customers that we deal with their contracts. Many of the customers, before they got onboarded with Conga CLM, they have a lot of contracts on paper, third-party contracts, and the contracts that were executed before. They don't have the intelligence. Forget about intelligence, the risks, the obligations, and opportunities to actually go on in price increase contractually they have already agreed upon. You're losing millions of dollars of opportunity, and you're increasing your risk by very, very high. What we have provided is like how Conga Contract Intelligence was a product for the last 4 years in the market. And we started using that, and we were providing that all the intelligence that is sitting in on a piece of paper, and we were actually extracting it and discovering it and providing to the customers. Either it is the clauses that like terms that and the clauses that we know, doing the custom provisioning custom clauses to be extracted and everything. Then LLMs came. It just completely revolutionized the way that like we operate. We still look at being 10,000 plus customers that we serve, and they actually shown trust in us protecting the data. The AI governance, as well as doing the ethical way of doing AI, is still the things that we don't compromise on at Conga. So we actually released our co-pilots, part of our Advantage platform for CLM and contract lifecycle management. So people can actually open the contract and they can actually ask any and all questions. That is not just LLMs, which anybody can do. They are actually along with our data protection that like we do and the data governance that we have and our own models that like it goes through and answers the questions. So now we are looking into extending that to beyond CLM and to the whole revenue lifecycle management. With the unified data model that we have, Arun, the use cases that like if I ask my product managers, they actually give me like a 200 use cases like right today. And by the way, they have. And we have been working on revenue lifecycle. The first step of platform for us is to have a unified data model with all the applications up and running. And the second step of revenue lifecycle management is how do you make revenue lifecycle management intelligent? And imagine a use case of a CFO sitting there and say, what's my churn risk based on all the renewals that are coming in the next couple of quarters? And CFO should be able to answer that question himself. The CEO should ask the question is, hey, we have vendors, we have customers. Is there an overlap? Or if there isn't, how can we actually talk to our vendors to become our customers because they're our partners? The questions and the depth of information that is sitting in our unified data model is beyond any data that you can think of. think of it as ERP is like a once it is the money is in the bank and now you are accounting for it. And whereas CRM is an opportunity, right? Like there is a data about customer interactions, but revenue lifecycle management is all where the revenue flows through. And you want to know as much as possible, as early as possible, as often as possible. It is only possible by being on the revenue lifecycle management platform that can give AI.
Wow, so that's almost like a revenue intelligence platform, Koti.
Yep.
An example that you gave, that who of my customers are also suppliers for me,
Yep.
and there immediately your pipeline could just jump. You could have
Exactly.
not your customers, and your pipeline could immediately jump given the intelligence that you are
Yep.
able to draw. There could be contractual obligations where, let's say, there is a price hike of, let's say, X percentage at the end of the term when the renewal happens, and those are nuances that the sales guys sometimes miss. But then your intelligence platform can actually tell them that, hey, there could be an X percentage increment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So brilliant. So Koti, obviously there's a lot of product development work that you're doing. There's a lot of innovation work that's also exists, especially with the LLMs coming in.
Yep.
Right. I mean, it's like a completely different beast altogether. So how do you sort of balance between the core product development, which is the here and now that your customers are asking for, looking for next quarter, next release, and so on, versus the actual innovation, which could be more longer term, new kinds of technology? How do you balance between these two?
Yeah, I think even within the AI, if I go 5 years ago when I started at Conga to today, the way that we are approaching is it's just way different. And I think you've been in the industry for a long time, Arun, just like I am. When you talk about AI, you never talk about AI by itself 5 years ago. You're always going to talk about ML. What are the model development and how many data scientists you have, how much data that you are training on. That was the time that like where you are building so much of that IP that takes months and years and you need a big investment into it. Today, the profile changed. How and like it is more, you think of a model, it's available. But you have to avoid the hallucinations. You have to avoid the data accuracy. You need to make sure data is not, data still meets all the governance that like customers look for. There is a different way of approaching the same thing. What we focus on from a Conga perspective is we actually have an innovation budget. Budget as in we were building the platform and we were heads down for the last 2-3 years. I think like we are done with the platform of V1 that like fully functional and like goes around the revenue lifecycle. We just started looking at 30% of our investment today goes into innovation. Innovation can be offering a new product, offering new AI capability, offering a combination of it. And we look at this is where like a majority of that 30% is going into AI right now. And we have like some products and capabilities that we not just enhance, but we also add to our suite of solutions. But we're also investing heavily in AI for us to expand beyond. We're already leading industry leaders in CCI, and we have a discovery AI on the contracts. We have products that are industry leading products. Now we want to move to CTQ. We want to move to document automation. We want to move into renewals. We want to move into the whole revenue lifecycle intelligence. And that's the roadmap that we've been working on for the last couple of quarters and continues for the next few quarters.
That's brilliant. And Koti, how are you accounting for reliability and scalability in these cases? There's a lot of innovation that's happening. You obviously have a roadmap and innovation funds allocated to these.
So that's the good part of us doing these things for 12 years. So we as you know, Conga has been the highest, one of the highest revenue generating products on Salesforce platform. We were exclusively Salesforce before, and now we call ourselves Salesforce and beyond. So we are Salesforce going to be our partner customer, and we compete with them also, all of the above. But we have learned so much about the scalability on a multi-tenant platform. And one of the things that reasons for us to actually move into Conga Advantage platform is the scalability and performance is becoming a big problem for our customers. We have the Fortune 50 customers in any domain, any specific area you take, like health and life sciences, and some of the telecommunications, high tech, and we have some of the top customers. They don't have a performance. Oh, like it takes like 2 minutes to build the quote, or like you can't build longer than 1,000-line quote. You can't tell them how to do the business. They will tell us what they need from the software. So we learned the hard way. And once we got to our Conga Advantage platform, we are around like a 10 to 25,000 lines of code that we test today and we offer to our customers, whereas our competition is looking at 500 to 1,000 lines. So we know what it takes for us to scale to enterprise customer needs. We need to take those scaling principles, especially when we built the whole platforms from scratch, Arun. We have our cloud ops, DevOps, engineering, and performance engineering team. All of these teams together have been working on this platform and a scalable platform and auto scaling built in. So we are expanding those same concepts to our AI also. So it's important for us to actually respond as quickly as you can from a performance and scalability perspective, or else product will not be uptaken by the customers.
Yeah, no, that's right. At the end of the day, customers win, right? And you got to align with what your customers are demanding for, requesting for. Koti, what is, while you have worked with so many customers, looked at so many different customer examples, solved so many transformation initiatives, reimagined processes,
Yeah.
but what could be maybe one or two that you are truly, truly proud of? You can pinpoint and say that, here is one that I really, really loved working on.
Yeah, so there are, to do the justice, like we have like what we call 3 pillars of the products that we offer. The 3 pillars as in a CPQ and a CLM and our document automation. I will speak to like a few use cases that and the customers that we work with, right? We have been working with a Japanese bank for a contract lifecycle management solution. And they have, if you can imagine, an agreement object is a complex object, like it contains a lot of information. Imagine them saying, I want to add 400 to 500 more attributes on an object. And by the way, I have to add like 600 to 700 rules. It can be validation, it can be like a conditional or whatever for the UI layout. And I want all of them to be performing as if there is no customization into the product. We were able to meet that use case, and they were saying, wow, we never thought like somebody can, without building a custom app, nobody can do this for us. That's like a very proud moment. And like our contract generation process, like we call it like a just reduction process, is really awesome. That scales to, we have around 2 million documents, 3 million documents that get generated in a week. That's the level of sophistication from the scalability and the performance perspective that like we have. We were pretty aggressive with our performance goals on our document products. We have gone up like a 25 to 30% performance improvement when we moved to the platform right out of the gates. And we have still much, much higher expectations. We want to generate, I was telling this to my engineering team, they're just about to release this product, high volume doc gen. The business goal is like around 600,000, 700,000 documents per day is the business goal. But I was asking my engineering team is how about 1 million documents in an hour?
Wow.
We should scale to that. And especially with the public cloud auto scale opportunities that we have with the Kubernetes and the architectures that are available, we should be able to scale up and scale down quickly. So when we look at a customer requirement, we challenge ourselves to be 10 times better than that. So, and on the CPQ, there is, I think, like a 0% doubt in my mind. There is no other CPQ can do what we can do. And I'm you can say you may be too cocky, Koti, but like I think like I'm more confident because we have solved problems to one of the 3 out of 5 biggest health and life sciences companies uses our software, and their scalability needs and their extending the solution needs are beyond comparison. Like even we couldn't think about it like 5-10 years ago, and we grew with them what our applications can do, especially the CPQ billing and renewals, all of it. We call it like revenue applications. And this capability that like previously we were feature rich, and the performance and scalability are limited by the platform that we were hosted on. Salesforce platform being a multi-tenant, it does many use cases very well, but not the compute heavy use cases. The design of like a CRM multi-tenant is different than a revenue lifecycle management multi-tenant software. We were barely 500 to 1,000 lines, and our customers were asking, can we do 2,000 lines, 2 to 3,000 lines? My goal by mid next year is to get to 100,000 lines cut, and we are halfway there. In our labs, we do 50,000 lines. We certify on 10,000 lines today when we release the platform. When we were releasing the platform, that was our goal. 10x more than any of our customers do today. And we have delivered that. And finally, on the performance side, like overall, when we did the API first, our expectation is in 5 years from now, much of this revenue lifecycle management solutions are either consumed through B2B e-commerce, or they may be consumed by APIs. And for that, we prepared ahead. And our internal goal is to have every single API under 100 milliseconds or less. We're not there. That's a challenge we put ourselves for that. And we are 80% or 85% of our APIs are 100 milliseconds or less.
Wow.
And every single activity that we have built on the platform is API. So if somebody wants to build a brand new user experience for themselves, taking the functionality that we offer, any customer can do it today because like everything is API. We do not have any business logic anywhere but in API. So we are very proud of that.
Wow. So Koti, that's amazing. The kind of technology that you have built. When obviously, as you rightly said, this is a new category that you guys have established, right? The whole revenue lifecycle management. So let's talk a little bit about the future. And you sort of alluded to that in the next 5 years, the goal that you have in terms of response of the APIs. But talk to our viewers a little bit more about in the next 5-10 years, what are the kind of trends that you're seeing in the overall revenue lifecycle management, and some of the technology trends that you think would need to be done in order to address some of those trends more from a business and from an industry standpoint?
Revenue lifecycle management was looked at as a separate solutions in the past. In the last 2-3 years, thanks to our visionary product leader, Grant Peterson, our chief product officer, he had come up with revenue lifecycle management as a concept and like how we actually put everything together, I think like revenue lifecycle management is going to be a revolutionary concept, because like if you revolutionary to implement, this will become the thing in every company that goes through digital transformation. And I'm not saying like everybody buys Conga, they should, but there is like we started the revenue lifecycle management. Salesforce quickly followed and like started talking about revenue lifecycle management bigger and louder than us, because they have a bigger mic than we ever going to have. That itself is a validation. A company like Salesforce think revenue lifecycle management is a category that like they need to be part of, is a validation of our thought process. So we started with the core products we call core products, and now we want to expand into different ecosystems. The future is going to be, okay, we are on AWS, we work with Salesforce. How about Azure and Dynamics? How about GCP as a cloud platform? How about 20 other CRMs that want to offer revenue lifecycle management? How about connectors to every single ERP systems? So it naturally, like when you finish your billing and you creating the assets, you're already sending your billing schedules to your your ERP system, right? All of these capability enhancement, like things like rebates. You want to have like a rebate management. We already have promotions, but like we want to have a rebate management and service CPQs. And there is capability and like there's like a low level features, like how do you, and we also like going back to my point about consuming things as APIs. Today, customers consume config, price, and quote in a product, a CPQ. In the future world, we see config as a service. They may build their own portal and they just want to only offer configuring products for some people. Pricing as a service, quoting as a service. We see the world going towards that. And as we do this more and more, even though these processes are connected and we look at it as a revenue lifecycle, customers still processing that in their head of like, how do you connect these dots? They don't need to connect those dots. We are going to build the revenue lifecycle intelligence for them that asks the biggest thing that like I'm actually envisioning, if you ask me today, is I get into a co-pilot of revenue lifecycle. Now, like you have to use agent and co-pilot or synonymous or different or however. And you get into the co-pilot. Can you go through all of your business transactions and business questions? Hey, I want to create a quote. Which customer? They start with ABC. Okay, here is a list. Okay, check one. Add server products. Does all of it and send it for approval and create a quote and send it to the customer. All of it is done without you even touching the CPQ product. And now imagine the thing that like I went through: CPQ, CLM, billing, renewals. You go through all of that life cycle and asking questions, initiating business workflows, and actually getting the feedback. Imagine the world where all of these things are available for our users. That's where we are actually going, and that's where we are taking our customers to.
Brilliant, brilliant. Earlier, we used to talk a lot about bundling, right? How do you bring in and more services together?
Yeah.
Now, what we're basically saying is it's unbundling, unpackaging, where everything is available as an API, and anybody can pick and choose what they want to use, where they want to use it. And then you have all of these, LLMs or SLMs built in, along with Gen AI capabilities, where I can talk through, hey, create a code for this customer with these products, right? And then magically things happen in the background.
Yeah. And one last thing is we also, one of the main capability that we provide is for the administrators. For example, if you think about people like some of these like medical device companies that I was talking about, the NHLS space, they have hundreds of people creating the product models and how they actually incorporate it. So we provide the admin capabilities are also very, very intuitive way of offering these capabilities. And we also envision having, so AI is mostly talked about like in the context of Copilot, in the context of answering the question. But for me, the embedded analytics and embedded insights using the same algorithms, like now you go back to our API first model, even the AI that we are developing, and like either it is in the context of Copilot or in the context of an agent or in the context of product when you are using it. Imagine a salesperson building the quote, and before actually creates the quote, after adding all the items to the cart, if the pop-up inside comes and says, you given 35% discount, and when you give 35% discount, it takes 8 days to get an approval, whereas 31% will get you a next day approval. And all of this is only possible if you have architected the solution right way. These insights can be available for AI, insights can be available in Copilot, in a workflow, or when you are using the application. That's how we are thinking.
Yeah, and those are very powerful insights because if I'm a salesperson and if I have all those insights, it actually helps me accelerate the sales process very, very quickly.
And
So
salesperson may be more interested in how much commission you make, and like your commission will increase if you reduce the discount. That may inspire him a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, 8 days versus 31% was 35%, right? It could be a very small thing, but at the end of the day, revenue acceleration, being able to get my commissions faster,
Exactly.
important.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So, Koti, one of the things that we see a lot of companies think about AI adoption, right? And AI adoption in some companies is at various levels of maturity, to be fair to a lot of companies, and for a variety of reasons. How do you see, Conga and you helping companies, reduce the risks of adopting AI, right? Understand more of these AI technologies, the overall revenue lifecycle management, and the AI that you have brought in, AI agents. How do you think about the adoption part?
Yeah, actually, there is still like there is no doubt. Like I'm old enough to tell you when we were adopting a cloud and Calidus, when we moved from on-premise to ASP to a cloud multi-tenant SaaS solution. There were so many questions about data privacy, my data mingled with another customer, and how are you hosting, where are you hosting? And at that time, public cloud wasn't as prevalent and as mature as it is today in 2008. We chose to go with a private cloud model where we go and host everything for the customers. There were a bunch of questions customers are worried about. I think when it comes to AI, that's the phase we are in today. They still have questions. They still have some concerns. They're all excited about the opportunity of like using those capabilities to improve their business value as well as business efficiencies, right? Just like anytime, there are some of the customers who are very forward-looking from a technology perspective, and we work with many of them. And what we are seeing quite a bit of traction is on the contract AI, because some of our customers that they're talking hundreds of thousands of contracts that are sitting in a file folder and a structure, and that they don't have any insights into. And you can imagine companies that are like 50, 100-year-old companies, these contracts, and like there may be a gold mine sitting there, or there is maybe a time bomb sitting there, or both, right? So we have seen quick adoption in that area. We still go through quite a bit of infosec, that talking to the customers, customers from their data governance and what are we doing to keep their data private and not like what are the things that like can be used for training and don't have to, like all of these things that like there are sometimes like we ask ourselves, are we not releasing the features every day on Copilot like some of our competition do? We are slower than them because like we feel we are obligated to protect the customer data, and we were putting some effort in that initially. Now we are actually picking up the pace for that. But that is, the question is always around data. It's also somewhat of I think like it's just a dilemma all of our customers going through, and I think like the whole world is going through, is we want LLM to be accurate. How will LLMs be accurate if you train with more real data? But you don't want your data to be used to the training. So, but we want LLMs to be accurate. So it's like this is the dilemma everybody goes through.
Like a chicken and egg problem.
Exactly. So I think like that is still something for us to solve together. And this is so evolving, Arun. Like you've been doing this like AI with Arun for a while now. We weren't even talking agents as a first class thing before Salesforce turned the whole Dreamforce into Agent Force. And now like everybody want to talk about agents. And 2 years ago, when we acquired one of the contract AI company, nobody was talking about LLM. So it is evolving very, very quickly. So I think like you just need to be ready, but like you need to have your basics properly done. Data governance and all the architectural elements. If you have it right, the adoption will grow.
Brilliant, Koti. Koti, what advice would you have for someone aspiring to be a CTO?
I think we have like one of the analysts that came and talked at our company's all hands, and he was talking about our revenue life cycle. We invited him, and he has been evaluating us. And he said like technology, the vision, and what you have done, very, very good. And he said, what our CEO asked, what should we do now? Execute. I think from an engineering leader perspective, you need to execute on the vision, because I jokingly always say to Grant, you actually dream and I make the dream real. So the engineering team as a CTO's responsibility is, how do you take a company's vision and translate into a product or a service that is scalable, performing, and meeting all the architectural needs? So execution is one. Second thing is, there may be a few things that I will advise is customer. You need to understand the customer, what customer is looking for. And there is no other way to do it than talk to the customers. And then when something is not working or something is a problem, it's a learning experience. And also you need to be sincere about this with the customer. I think like that's what I am fortunate enough to work with enterprise customers for last 25 years. The day I started at Calidus back in 2000, I was I was allocated to customer escalation team. And I thought like, oh, I'm so happy about it. And 2 weeks into it, I realized how bad it is when I have to take weekend calls. But I've been working with customers, and I'm proud to say one of my magic power is that like I will talk to the customers, and most of the times they'll say like, okay, we're talking with Koti, the problem will be solved. We don't know how, but like he will make sure he'll solve, and he will, if he cannot also, he will come and tell us. Earning that confidence and trust from customer is another thing as a technology leader, because they actually value your opinion, but you also need to be earning their trust. And finally, this is the most important thing, and it is becoming even more and more important, is the team. All these products and technology and everything is actually easy. If you can have your team row the boat in the same direction, if you can make things that you see, make them see it, not force them. If you can consensus based, you hear them and actually create that vision that everybody sees it. And especially with the global teams that we all are working with, Arun, that I have majority of my team is in India. And by the way, I'm so proud to say, with majority of them being in exact opposite time zone of where I'm sitting, we have delivered the platform that is 10 times more scalable, and the majority of the work is done in India. The only reason we could do it is we see this problem same way. As an organization of 450 people, from associate engineer to VP and me, we see the problem same way. And that is the magic. If you can actually make the organization and team feels that we have a leader that listens, that gives the support, but at the same time, when we are heading on the wrong direction, he'll make sure he steers us to the right direction. When you have that kind of a team culture, then you'll win. I think like those are the things like I'm like as far as people goes, like the people that work for me when I was like a development manager back in 2002 and 3, they still come to me and ask about career advice. So I earned their trust. So that's the I really enjoy being around people. So this is a perfect job for me.
Brilliant.
Uh,
Brilliant, Cody. Yeah, nobody could have articulated the way you did. What is really expected from a CTO. So it's execution focus, it's being about customer focus and the team focus, and those are three very, very critical elements.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cody, we come to the last segment of our show, which we call as the rapid fire round, and we'll ask you a question and one word answers.
Yeah.
Sentence answers. Are you set?
Ready? Let's go.
All right. So here's the first one. So ChatGPT, Gemini, Llama, Claude, anything else that you wanted to add? There's so many coming up every single day.
I'm ChatGPT right now, but I am actually excited about getting my hands on Llama 3. I'm trying to install it on either on my laptop with a small model or a bigger one in my cloud. So ChatGPT for now.
Okay, wonderful. The next one. What is the most overrated AI trend right now?
I think like I have to say agent. It's no different than Copilot, and it's just like it feels to me like a more marketing gimmick, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, all right. The third one, in one sentence, define the future of AI in your field.
I think efficiency, business efficiency. For me, I'm always a business software guy. I think it's just going to provide so much efficiency. I don't think it is, people don't look at it as like, oh, you can actually get that data. I think you can, but it takes 2 days for you to actually answer the question that AI can answer in like 2 seconds. I think it's the business efficiency.
Wonderful. The fourth one, what is the one AI skill that everyone should learn today to be better prepared for tomorrow?
I I will go like a very small, that is prompt engineering. I actually think it's going to be, it's almost like we are relearning the language. If you ask the question right way, you get the right answer. I think like we're all going to be prompt engineers in a very like a near future.
Okay. All right. And the last one, if AI could take over one of your daily tasks completely, what would it be?
I would say like a create PowerPoints for me, because I can talk for days. I cannot create PowerPoints for the life of it. So I think like please take my PowerPoint creation away from me.
All right, Koti, I'm sure that somebody will have an idea, and any of our viewers listening today or hearing today, they'll probably have this idea to pitch you with a text to PowerPoint. Vision.
Exactly.
Yeah, and AI
Speech to
agent.
PowerPoint.
Excellent. Thank you, Koti. That brings us toward the end of our show. This has been a very, very insightful session for any of our viewers listening and learning about the revenue lifecycle management. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Arun, thanks for the time. The questions are very insightful. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm looking forward to hearing any questions from this session from anybody. I would be delighted to answer, and I would be more delighted to have them as our customers.
Brilliant. Thank you, Koti.
Thank you.